Enough is enough. Too many believers have suffered in silence, thinking their struggles are ordinary, when in truth, unseen eyes have been following their every move. There are things happening around you that the natural eye cannot see, energies that linger in corners of your room, presences that listen when you pray, and forces that take notes when you speak your dreams aloud. Many believers walk through life unaware that they are being observed in the spirit, watched not for admiration, but for interference. Every time your plans suddenly collapse, every time your peace disappears without cause, every time joy turns into confusion overnight, it is not coincidence. There are watchers in darkness who monitor light, waiting for the right moment to dim it. You may not see them, but they see you. They study you quietly. They mirror your face in water, trace your steps through dreams, and whisper your name into invisible meetings of darkness. Sometimes you feel it, that chill, that sudden unease, that subtle sense that someone is near though the room is empty. That feeling is not imagination. It is a spiritual alert. Your atmosphere has been infiltrated. Monitoring spirits are ancient watchers, spiritual spies assigned to record your growth and delay your destiny. They are not random. They are deliberate, patient, and disciplined. They study habits, listen to confessions, and anticipate breakthroughs before you even sense them. These unseen watchers function like invisible cameras planted in the atmosphere. They scan emotions, relationships, and even prayers, transmitting information to demonic altars designed to sabotage divine timing. They do not sleep. They use human agents, animals, and even technology as channels of observation. They hide in familiar faces, in spaces you trust, in screens that hold your attention. Every open door in the spirit, a careless word, an unguarded emotion, a moment of fear, becomes a window through which they can see. But here is the good news. The moment you activate divine light, their vision collapses. The instant you awaken to spiritual authority, their power shatters. You were never meant to live under surveillance. You were meant to live under covering. God did not create you to be visible to darkness. He created you to walk cloaked in light, hidden under His wings, shielded by His glory. And when you remember that truth, the watchers of darkness lose their strength. This message is not for entertainment. It is a spiritual weapon. What you are about to hear is revelation designed to reclaim your hidden identity. You have authority to blind every eye of darkness and to seal your life under divine protection. The Bible says, "He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." The secret place is not physical. It is spiritual invisibility, the realm where evil cannot track you, where your footsteps vanish to the enemy's pursuit. Many believers have lost that covering because of distraction, fear, and ignorance. They move in light but live exposed, unaware that the enemy records their progress. Every new plan, every open door, every answered prayer becomes visible to dark altars that seek to delay it. That is why some breakthroughs vanish just before they manifest. Someone somewhere saw your light and decided to dim it, but no more. Tonight, your visibility ends. You are about to learn a divine act that blinds monitoring spirits permanently. It is not superstition. It is alignment. It is not ritual. It is restoration. This act of faith will purify your atmosphere, hide your name from spiritual surveillance, and restore your peace. God has already equipped you with the tools, light, salt, and faith. When combined in understanding, they become a shield that darkness cannot penetrate. Before we continue, pause and think. Have you ever felt watched without reason? Have you experienced repeated setbacks that make no sense? Do you wake from dreams that feel too vivid, as if someone else was there? These are not random. These are signs that your spiritual privacy has been compromised. But remember, awareness is the beginning of deliverance. The moment you discern the presence of darkness, light is already rising. What the watchers fear most is exposure, because once you see them, they lose access. Once you know their tactics, they are disarmed, and once you speak with authority, they become blind. The Bible says that Elisha prayed for blindness over his enemies, and God answered instantly. That same authority is yours. The same light that hid Elisha's camp will cover your life. From this moment forward, you must decide to walk unseen by evil eyes. You must make your home a sanctuary of light, your words weapons of decree, and your atmosphere a fortress of faith. As we move deeper into this message, you will learn how to perform a prophetic act that activates this covering, an act that cleanses, blinds, and seals. It is not about fear, but dominion, not about superstition, but spiritual intelligence. The watchers have studied you long enough. The delays have lasted long enough. The confusion, the sudden blockages, the invisible pressure. Enough is enough. It is time to shut every window that darkness uses to look into your life. It is time to reclaim your divine invisibility. Tonight, light will rise, salt will purify, and faith will seal. And when the act is complete, every eye that once monitored you will go blind in the spirit. Stay with me, because what comes next will change your spiritual atmosphere forever. There are moments in life when the silence around you feels too heavy, when the air in the room shifts for no clear reason, when your thoughts seem interrupted by something unseen. Those moments are not accidents, they are signals. Subtle reminders that the invisible world is closer than we like to admit. For too long, people have walked through life unaware of the quiet wars being fought around them, believing every setback, every sudden disappointment, every wave of sadness to be ordinary. Yet behind the curtain of the visible, a deeper reality unfolds, one where unseen watchers observe human lives, tracking emotions, words, and dreams. These watchers, often called monitoring spirits, do not attack with noise or violence. Their weapon is observation. They record the rhythm of your life, your joys, your weaknesses, your patterns of faith. They wait, they study, and when a door of opportunity opens, they whisper to delay it. When a season of peace begins, they stir confusion. They feed on distraction, on fear, on the moments when your heart loses focus. That is why some people experience endless cycles: progress, then loss, hope, then disappointment, prayer, then silence. It is not always bad luck. Sometimes it is surveillance. But understand this: darkness does not monitor what has no value. The reason you are watched is because your light carries weight. Every destiny of significance attracts attention, both divine and demonic. That is why certain individuals, even without fame, draw resistance. Their spirit is marked by purpose. The watchers see that mark and attempt to study it, hoping to find weakness in the rhythm of their faith. But what the enemy forgets is that divine light cannot be studied. It can only be obeyed or repelled. God has never left his people unguarded. For every watcher of darkness, there is a guardian of light. For every eye that spies, there is a hand that shields. The key lies in awareness and alignment. You cannot conquer what you refuse to acknowledge, but you cannot fear it either. Fear opens doors, faith seals them. Awareness is not an invitation to anxiety. It is preparation for victory. When your eyes open to the truth, you no longer panic at the shadow. You recognize it and you command it to flee. Many have asked, why me? Why does it seem as though something follows me? The truth is, spiritual observation is ancient. The Bible speaks of watchers who studied the sons of men, angels who reported both good and evil before the throne. The realm of the unseen is structured, organized, and governed by laws that respond to light and authority. Darkness does not need your permission to watch. It only needs your ignorance. But once you awaken, once you take authority, it loses its ability to see. You may have noticed that certain people or environments drain your peace without explanation. A conversation leaves you heavy. A place feels cold, though it is bright. Sometimes that is not emotional. It is spiritual residue, traces left behind by those who carry darkness. Watchers often use such vessels to gain access. They study through familiar places and familiar faces. Not everyone who smiles is a friend in the spirit, But here is the comfort. Discernment is stronger than deception. When your spirit stays pure, you begin to sense what words cannot explain. You walk into a room and know whether it welcomes you or resists you. You meet a person and sense whether their presence aligns with yours or threatens your peace. That sense is not paranoia, it is protection. And protection must be maintained, not assumed. The greatest mistake believers make is to think victory is permanent while vigilance fades. Light requires tending. Just as a flame must be fed to keep burning, your spiritual covering must be renewed through prayer, gratitude, and purity of thought. You cannot expect to remain invisible to darkness if you keep opening your soul to bitterness, gossip, or fear. Every negative emotion is a signal flare in the spirit realm, drawing attention to your atmosphere. Gratitude, on the other hand, cloaks you. Worship blinds the eyes of darkness. Peace makes you untouchable. You may wonder how something invisible could be watching, but think of it this way. The same way your heart beats without your command, unseen systems are always operating around you. The spiritual world is not a myth. It is a dimension woven into this one. Those who live unaware become pawns in battles they do not understand, but those who walk in awareness become commanders of light. You were not created to be observed. You were created to rule. That is why the watchers watch, because they fear your awakening. Tonight, as you listen, you are already changing your atmosphere. Every word of truth releases light, and light exposes hidden eyes. The more you understand your authority, the more invisible you become to evil. The watchers lose focus when a believer begins to speak with conviction. Their access depends on silence, but your voice disrupts their vision. When you declare your identity, they see nothing but fire. So remember this, the unseen is real, but it is not greater than the one who protects you. Monitoring spirits may attempt to record your life, but they cannot rewrite your destiny. They may try to observe, but they cannot touch. Your awareness is your weapon, your words are your shield, and your faith is the light that makes you disappear to every eye of darkness. In the next part, you will learn how divine elements, water, salt, and light, act as natural extensions of faith, not as rituals, but as reminders. Because the God who created matter also placed power in it. When you understand how to use what He has already given, you step into a realm where darkness cannot follow. But for now, let this truth settle in your heart. You are watched because you are chosen, but once you stand in light, no darkness can see you again. There is a moment in every believer's life when the veil between the visible and the invisible begins to thin. It doesn't happen through fear or superstition, but through awareness. That quiet realization that not everything unfolding around you is random. You begin to notice patterns, the sudden fatigue right before you pray, the friend who always brings confusion when joy is near, the opportunities that dissolve just when you're ready to step forward. These are not coincidences, they are interruptions, subtle but strategic. The ancient world understood this better than we do. They knew that every movement in the physical world echoes first in the spiritual. Before a storm forms in the sky, it begins as a vibration in the unseen. Before a door closes, a whisper has already been sent in the spirit realm. Watchers, those invisible observers of destiny, specialize in these moments of transition. They do not strike when you are broken. They strike when you are almost complete. Because their goal is not destruction, it is delay. Delay is the enemy's most elegant weapon. It looks harmless. It hides behind logic and timing. You tell yourself, maybe it's not the right season, or perhaps I should wait. Meanwhile, the watchers record your hesitation and feed it back into the atmosphere as confusion. They turn your caution into stagnation. But when you understand that delay is a strategy, you stop accepting it as normal. You begin to see how time itself can be manipulated against you. Not because God is slow, but because your focus is under surveillance. Imagine a traveler walking through a valley at night, unaware that eyes watch from the shadows. Each step echoes. And though he cannot see the watchers, they map his rhythm. If he begins to run in fear, they follow faster. If he pauses and listens, they wait too. But if he stands still and speaks with authority, declaring that light belongs to him, the watchers retreat, because they cannot exist in command. They thrive only in uncertainty. Faith is not simply believing that God can protect you. It is remembering that he already has. Protection begins with posture, how you carry your soul through the world. A guarded spirit is not suspicious or anxious, it is grounded. It listens more than it reacts. It prays before it speaks. It forgives before bitterness finds a place to grow. This posture blinds the watchers because they depend on emotional noise. They need your anger to locate you. They need your fear to hear you. They need your doubt to trace your path. This is why peace is power. Peace is not the absence of battle. It is the presence of authority. When you walk in peace, you create spiritual static, interference that confuses every eye of darkness trying to monitor your progress. Have you ever wondered why Jesus often withdrew into silence after miracles? It wasn't avoidance, it was concealment. He understood that visibility attracts resistance and silence restores covering. In today's world, it's easy to forget that silence can be sacred. We live in constant exposure, posting, sharing, updating, unaware that oversharing in the natural can echo as exposure in the spiritual. The watchers of darkness study information. They use patterns, dates, emotions. They follow the energy you release through words. Every complaint, every careless confession becomes data. That is why wisdom tells us to guard our tongue, not as a restriction, but as protection. You cannot control who watches, but you can control what they see. The Bible often speaks of the secret place of the Most High. It's not a room or a ritual, it's a frequency. When you operate in that frequency, darkness loses the ability to track you. You move with quiet precision, guided by divine timing rather than reaction. Some doors open, others close, yet your peace remains unshaken because your life is not a public broadcast. It's a private covenant. There are people who carry light so strong that even darkness recognizes it before they do. These are the ones who attract both favor and resistance in equal measure. But favor is never given without protection. God doesn't expose what he hasn't fortified. The problem is not that believers are unprotected, it's that they walk unaware of how protected they already are. When awareness fades, covering weakens. When gratitude is lost, visibility returns. You were never meant to walk through life constantly watched. Divine design intended for you to be seen only by heaven, guided, guarded, and invisible to harm. To restore that covering, you must reintroduce light into your atmosphere intentionally. Light is not just illumination, it is identity. It reminds darkness who you belong to. Every act of faith, every prayer, every moment of forgiveness, every refusal to fear becomes a flash of light that blinds the eyes that try to observe you. As we prepare to enter the next part of this teaching, remember this: the war is not outside you, it begins in awareness. The watchers of darkness cannot destroy what they cannot find, and they cannot find what refuses to react. Learn to be still when confusion comes. Learn to speak only when led. Learn to guard your peace as fiercely as you guard your possessions, because peace is not weakness, it is armor. And once you master peace, you become invisible to every eye that once followed your steps. There comes a time when light demands to be understood, not as a symbol, but as a living force. Most people see light only as brightness, something that helps them see. But in the spiritual realm, light is awareness, revelation, and authority. It is the element that darkness cannot imitate. Shadows can mimic shapes, but they cannot exist without light, and that is why darkness studies it. The watchers of the unseen world are not drawn to chaos. They are drawn to light that is unaware of itself. Every person carries a certain degree of spiritual light, an invisible radiance that reflects the measure of truth they walk in. Some carry quiet light, stable and constant, like the glow of dawn before sunrise. Others burn intensely, their faith lighting everything around them, yet flickering when tested by fear. The watchers know how to sense that flicker. They wait for the moment when your light wavers, when you doubt, when you complain, when you forget who you are, because that's when visibility returns. They cannot extinguish your light, but they can tempt you to hide it. To understand protection, you must first understand the nature of your own radiance. You're not a body trying to reach God. You are a spirit housed in flesh, already connected to Him. When you pray, you are not sending words upward. You are awakening light inward. The power of divine protection begins not with rituals, but with recognition. If you can recognize your light, you can guard it. If you can guard it, you can direct it. And once you can direct it, you can blind anything that tries to see you through darkness. The ancient prophets understood this principle. When Moses came down from the mountain, his face shone so brightly that people could not look at him. That was not magic. It was exposure. He had spent time in the presence of light so pure that it altered his very being. The same truth applies now. The more you dwell in divine presence, the less visible you become to evil. It's not because the darkness retreats, it's because it cannot comprehend what it sees. Light has a language. It speaks through intention. Every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, your light brightens. Every time you speak life instead of complaint, it expands. But the moment you entertain fear, comparison, or jealousy, your light dims just enough for watchers to find your outline again. That is why emotional discipline is not just moral advice. It is spiritual strategy. Your peace is camouflage. Your joy is armor. Your faith is invisibility. Many ask why certain prayers seem unanswered. The truth is that prayer without alignment is like shining light through fog. It spreads, but it doesn't pierce. When you pray from panic, your words scatter. When you pray from authority, they cut through the atmosphere like lightning. Authority doesn't shout, it declares, it knows, it stands. The watchers hear the tone of authority before they hear the words themselves. To them, authority sounds like thunder, a sound that disorients their order. But there is another dimension of light that few understand, the light that hides rather than reveals. Divine light doesn't only expose darkness, it conceals those who belong to it. Think of it as spiritual invisibility. You are hidden not by shadows, but by brilliance too strong for evil to look at. That is the meaning of being hidden in Christ. It's not metaphorical, it's literal in the spiritual dimension. The more you dwell in that light, the less traceable you become. This is why your environment matters. The places you rest, the conversations you keep, the energy you entertain, all of these either strengthen or dim your covering. Darkness studies patterns. When you live in disorganization, anger, or neglect, you create openings, clean spaces, calm music, pure words. These are not luxury, they are maintenance. Every physical environment mirrors a spiritual condition. The air of your home, the peace in your heart, the gratitude in your speech. These become gates through which light can dwell. When you begin to live with this awareness, everything shifts. You stop reacting to every shadow. You stop fearing the watchers. Instead, you become intentional about your glow. How you speak, how you rest, how you listen. You start to feel when peace leaves a room, and instead of panicking, you restore it. You become a keeper of light rather than a victim of darkness. And that is where your transformation begins. Not in learning how to fight, but in learning how to remain luminous. You were never asked to wrestle with darkness endlessly. You were asked to shine. When you shine correctly, the fight ends on its own because darkness cannot study what it cannot see. In the next part, we will move deeper into this revelation. You will learn how divine elements, the salt, the water, and the flame, serve as reflections of this same light in the physical world, not as superstitions or ceremonies, but as tools that awaken remembrance and realignment, because protection is not given once, it is cultivated daily. And when you understand how to live as light, you will never again fear being seen by darkness, because even if it looks for you, it will find only brilliance too pure to behold. There is a sacred mystery in the way God hides His power within ordinary things. The greatest revelations are often wrapped in simplicity: a handful of salt, a cup of water, the flicker of a candle's flame. These are not symbols of superstition, but mirrors of divine intelligence. The same Creator who formed galaxies also placed significance in the smallest elements of Earth, giving them the ability to carry intention. When faith touches matter, the natural becomes supernatural. For centuries, prophets and men of faith have used simple acts to unlock spiritual realities. Moses stretched a rod, Elisha threw salt into bitter waters, Jesus touched clay to heal blind eyes. None of these gestures held power in themselves. It was obedience that transformed them. The physical action was only a doorway. The true power flowed through alignment. Every divine act begins with recognition that the visible and the invisible are not separate worlds, but reflections of one another. What you touch in faith, heaven completes in power. Salt, water, and light. Three elements chosen not by coincidence, but by covenant. Each carries a distinct voice in the language of creation. Salt purifies, water renews, light reveals. When they converge through faith, they form a spiritual triad that silences darkness. The watchers of the unseen world fear this combination because it dismantles their order. Purity dissolves corruption, renewal washes away residue, and revelation exposes every hidden trace of darkness. Salt is perhaps the most underestimated of them all. It is common, humble, unassuming, yet in the spiritual realm it represents permanence and protection. In ancient times, covenants were sealed with salt because it preserved what time tried to decay. When you use salt with understanding, you are not performing a ritual. You are declaring that your atmosphere is under covenant. Every word spoken in faith becomes preserved, protected from contamination. Salt in prayer symbolizes continuity. What God has blessed will not spoil. Water, on the other hand, is movement. It never stays still unless something blocks it. It represents life's flow, emotions, spirit, thought, transformation. When you cleanse with water in faith, you are not simply washing away what is dirty. You are commanding motion where there was stagnation. Many people live spiritually parched because they allow energy to pool in one place. Memories, pain, fear. Water responds to intention. It carries vibration. It remembers. When you speak over it with authority, you reprogram the atmosphere around you. The same element that floods valleys can also flood your environment with peace. Then there is light, the language of heaven. It does not shout. It simply exists, and its existence makes darkness impossible. Light carries revelation. It is both shield and sword. When you light a candle in prayer, the flame does not just illuminate the room. It declares presence. It says, God is here. It becomes a physical echo of divine energy, marking your territory in the spirit. Darkness recognizes light's voice immediately. It cannot negotiate with it. It must retreat. When these three, salt, water, and light, are joined in faith, they form a kind of prophetic technology. Each element amplifies the other. Salt stabilizes the water's intention. Water reflects the light's purity, and light seals both with presence. Together, they cleanse, conceal, and consecrate. Their purpose is not to impress, but to realign. You do not use them to summon power, but to activate awareness. The true miracle is not in the bowl, the candle, or the sprinkling. It is in the shift that happens within your spirit as you remember who commands creation. Before performing any divine act, silence becomes your preparation. Not the silence of emptiness, but of intention. The world around you must quiet before heaven moves through you. Sit still, breathe. Recognize that you are not trying to make something happen. You are joining what is already happening. The moment faith awakens, creation listens. That is why it is said that when Jesus spoke to the storm, he did not scream, he commanded. The wind recognized the voice that had first called it into being. It is the same voice that lives in you. When you speak with that authority, everything around you must obey. The watchers of darkness cannot resist divine frequency. They recognize not the words, but the origin. They know when a human speaks and when heaven speaks through one. That is why fear must never guide a spiritual act. Fear is static in the signal. It distorts clarity. Authority flows only through peace. If you approach the salt with trembling, it remains salt. If you approach it with conviction, it becomes covenant. If you stir the water with panic, it remains liquid. If you stir it with faith, it becomes renewal. If you light the candle as decoration, it flickers. If you light it in reverence, it burns with presence. The difference is not in the objects, it is in the spirit behind them. Faith dignifies simplicity. What makes these acts powerful is not the act itself, but the transformation it creates in your consciousness. When you pour salt into water, you are saying, "My atmosphere will no longer decay." When you light a candle, you are saying, "My space will no longer hide in darkness." These are declarations that alter energy. You are not summoning anything new. You are reminding creation of its original order. And so, when you perform this act, do not rush. It is not a performance, it is communion. Let each movement be intentional. The sound of the salt touching water, the quiet burn of the flame, the words that leave your mouth, they are not just actions, they are commands. Heaven listens, angels move. The atmosphere reconfigures itself around faith. As the ritual unfolds, something shifts unseen. A calm enters the room, your heartbeat slows, the air feels lighter. That is the evidence of alignment. Darkness loses its coordinates. The watchers go blind. It is not dramatics, it is law. Where there is divine light, observation ceases. This is how heaven teaches you to fight, not by striving, but by remembering, not by shouting into the void, but by aligning with truth. The salt, the water, and the light are not the source of power. They are reminders that you already dwell in it. You are the vessel. You are the altar. You are the one creation responds to when you speak. And when you speak from alignment, every unseen eye turns away, unable to comprehend the brilliance that surrounds you. There is a quiet authority that awakens when a person begins to understand their spiritual environment. It doesn't come with noise or drama, but with clarity. It is the kind of peace that no longer negotiates with fear. When the eyes of your spirit open, you begin to see that the world around you is not divided between sacred and ordinary. Everything carries spiritual weight. Every object, every sound, every moment has the potential to become a vessel of light or a window of darkness. The difference lies in intention. That is why the sacred act of purification, the use of salt, water, and light, must begin long before your hands touch them. It begins within your atmosphere. Before you pour or light or declare anything, your heart must become still. Not perfect, not emotionless, just still. You cannot command peace from chaos if chaos lives inside you. Authority is not a tone of voice, it's a posture of spirit. When your spirit is calm, heaven listens. When your mind is quiet, creation responds. Close your eyes and think for a moment. How many times have you tried to pray while your thoughts were racing, while your heart was heavy, while your body was tense? Those prayers rise, yes, but their energy is scattered. The unseen world doesn't only hear words, it reads frequencies. The more aligned your heart becomes, the clearer your sound in the spirit. That clarity blinds watchers faster than any loud declaration could. You don't need to shout to silence darkness, you need to mean what you say. Every spiritual act is a reflection of divine order. When you take salt into your hands, you are handling covenant. When you stir water, you are stirring renewal. When you light a flame, you are summoning presence. But all of that is empty without faith, because faith is the electricity that makes everything alive. The watchers of darkness understand the power of ritual but lack the essence of faith. That's why they imitate what is holy, but can never recreate its impact. You, however, carry what they cannot: breath from the Creator Himself. Before you begin, prepare the space, not as a performance, but as reverence. You are about to shift the energy of a room. Turn off distractions. Let silence fill the corners. Choose a space where light can breathe, near a window, under open air, or in a place where you can hear yourself think. If there is noise outside, let it fade into distance. You are not escaping the world, you are centering within it. Place a clean bowl of water before you. Let it be still, undisturbed. The water represents everything that reflects you: your thoughts, your emotions, your atmosphere. Look into it. Observe its surface before touching it. Ask yourself, what has been moving beneath the calm of my days? What thoughts have been circling in silence, waiting to be addressed? The act of looking is the beginning of cleansing. You cannot purify what you refuse to see. Then take the salt. Feel its texture between your fingers, and solid, sharp, pure. It is a reminder that preservation is not passive. To remain pure, one must resist decay. Salt has no softness, yet it gives flavor. It purifies through contact. When you drop it into the water, do it slowly, intentionally. Listen to the faint sound as it dissolves. That quiet surrender, the merging of two elements becoming one. This is not a spectacle. It is a conversation between creation and faith. As the salt disappears, speak softly but clearly. As this salt purifies the water, so may every residue of darkness dissolve from my space. May my thoughts be renewed, my home cleansed, and my name hidden in divine light. Pause. Feel the air. Something in the atmosphere begins to respond, not with thunder or movement, but with stillness. That stillness is power acknowledging power. Now, light your candle. Watch how the flame trembles at first, as if adjusting to the air. Every flame carries a rhythm, a pulse. That is how you will know when divine presence fills the room. The flame steadies and the silence deepens. Speak again, this time not as a plea, but as a decree. Let this light be a witness of your presence, Lord. Let every hidden eye lose sight of me. Let my home, my body, and my soul be sealed under divine illumination. You do not need to feel anything dramatic. Faith is not emotion, it is alignment. Even in silence, creation listens. The watchers who once observed in the shadows can no longer perceive your outline. You have become cloaked in presence. Your voice, your frequency, your scent in the spirit, all of it is now hidden under divine radiance. Take a few drops of the salted water and sprinkle it gently across the corners of the room. Do not rush. Speak as you move. Where I rest, peace will dwell. Where I work, light will reign. No unseen watcher shall trespass my space. As the droplets fall, they carry vibration. Every grain of salt, every molecule of water becomes a messenger of purity. You are not casting spells, you are enforcing divine law. Finally, sit in silence again. Let the candle continue to burn. Watch how its light touches every surface around you. Notice how calm feels heavier than air, how peace has substance. That is how you know heaven has entered. When peace becomes tangible, you are covered. This act is not a ritual to be repeated mindlessly. It is a spiritual reset, a way to remind creation that you belong to the order of light. You may repeat it when your atmosphere feels heavy or when your dreams feel watched, but only with intention, never out of fear. Darkness feeds on fear. Light feeds on awareness. When you are done, do not blow out the candle immediately. Let it burn a while, marking your space with heat and scent. The flame is a signal to unseen realms that divine presence has claimed territory. When it eventually fades, the light remains, not just in the room, but in you. And when you rise from that space, walk differently, speak differently. The same hands that held the salt and stirred the water are now charged with authority. You are no longer visible to darkness in the same way. Your frequency has shifted, your signature rewritten in the spirit. You are covered, hidden, and sealed, not by elements, but by the consciousness that you are one with light itself. There is a moment after the flame has steadied and the salt has vanished into the water when the room feels entirely different, lighter, quieter, as if the air itself has been purified. What you are feeling in that moment is not imagination, it is order returning. The unseen world always responds to intention, and when faith speaks, creation obeys. This stillness, this strange sense of peace that settles like soft light on your skin, is the evidence that something has shifted in your atmosphere. Spiritual cleansing is not about chasing away darkness. It is about reminding the atmosphere who it belongs to. Darkness cannot coexist with truth. It can only linger where confusion remains. Once you reclaim clarity, every watcher, every presence that fed on disorder loses its footing. That is why peace feels so powerful. It is not just emotional comfort, it is dominion. Most people underestimate the language of space. The atmosphere of your home is not neutral. It absorbs what is spoken within it. Every argument leaves a trace. Every word of gratitude leaves light behind. Every act of fear opens a door. The walls remember. The air holds vibration. That is why God so often instructed his people to sanctify their dwelling, not as an empty ritual, but as a renewal of frequency. When you speak purity into your space, you are not decorating it with words. You are commanding alignment. Walk through your home slowly. Look at the corners that have been neglected, the areas you avoid without reason, the parts of your environment that feel heavy. These are not random sensations. Energy gathers where attention does not. Darkness thrives in what is ignored. So when you sprinkle the salt water there, you are not performing a gesture. You are reclaiming ground. You are saying every inch of this space belongs to light. As you continue, notice how your awareness sharpens. You begin to feel where peace is strong and where it hesitates. This is the training of discernment, to sense without fear, to recognize without judgment. When you feel resistance, it means energy is being displaced. Speak softly, calmly. Only peace lives here. Only light remains. You are not fighting. You are establishing law. Faith was never meant to be loud. True authority is quiet. It doesn't plead, it declares. When you speak with that quiet certainty, every watcher understands that the one who was once unaware has awakened. And awareness terrifies darkness more than fire does. You can almost feel the invisible withdrawal, not in sight, but in sensation. The weight lifting, the temperature changing. It is subtle, yet undeniable. In this stillness, reflection begins. Think of how many times you have felt pursued by unseen heaviness, not because you were weak, but because your spirit was open, unguarded, exposed. You begin to understand that protection is not only about prayer, but about boundaries. Just as you lock your doors at night, your spirit must know when to close its gates. Not every conversation deserves your energy. Not every emotion requires your attention. The watchers cannot follow what you do not feed. Take this moment to strengthen your inner walls. Place your hand over your heart and speak quietly. I am centered. I am covered. My peace cannot be stolen. These words are not poetry. They are structure. Each phrase rebuilds what neglect has eroded. You may not feel different immediately, but in the unseen, your signature is changing. The watchers once traced you by chaos. Now they meet stillness. They cannot track what is grounded in peace. The candle's flame becomes your teacher. Watch how it stands, Unmoving, sure, despite the faint drafts that try to touch it. That is what your spirit must learn. The flame doesn't fight the air, it simply continues to burn. Its persistence is its strength. When distractions come, you do not wrestle with them, you remain centered. That is how spiritual invisibility is maintained, by consistency. When you feel ready, return to the bowl of water. Its surface may look unchanged, but it now carries the memory of your words. Dip your fingers into it once more. Let the coolness remind you of renewal. Touch your forehead lightly and whisper, "My mind is clear." Touch your chest, "My heart is guarded." Touch your hands, "My works are blessed." You are marking yourself not with superstition, but with awareness. These gestures imprint meaning into motion, body and spirit agreeing to move as one. Now take the bowl to your doorway, and as you stand there, think about what that threshold represents. It is the line between your sanctuary and the world. Speak one last decree. What enters here shall serve peace. What leaves here shall carry light. Pour the water outside slowly, watching it sink into the ground. The act is simple, but the message is eternal. Nothing unclean may return through this gate. You may find that the night feels quieter afterward. Sleep comes easier. Dreams feel lighter. These are not coincidences. The watchers can no longer track your presence because your frequency has changed. You have become unseen to what once studied you. Remember this moment. The first victory of the spirit is awareness, the second is order, and the third is peace. Keep them in that sequence. Awareness wakes you up. Order gives you authority. Peace seals your invisibility. From now on, guard your space as you guard your faith. Keep your words clean, your gratitude alive, your silence intentional. When light becomes your habit, darkness forgets your name. And when you walk through the world, you will carry the same energy that now fills your room. Not heavy, not defensive, but quietly powerful. Hidden in plain sight, radiant but untouchable. That is what it means to live, watched only by heaven. When the night finally settles and the last trace of movement fades from your space, something remarkable happens. The silence begins to speak. It does not speak in words or sound, but in presence. You can feel it in the weight of the air, in the way your heartbeat aligns with an unseen rhythm, in how every corner that once felt heavy now breathes. That is the language of restored atmosphere. When a place has been reclaimed by light, it does not need to announce it. Peace becomes its only sound. This is the stage of the process that few ever reach. Not the battle, not the ritual, but the stillness after. Most people stop once they feel relief, mistaking peace for an ending. But in truth, this is where true awareness begins. Deliverance is not about driving darkness away. It is about remembering who commands the room once the darkness leaves. It is about learning to live so consistently in the presence of light that chaos can no longer find your address. You see, peace is not fragile. It is not something that must be tiptoed around or protected like glass. True peace has weight. It carries authority. It is not silence from exhaustion, but silence from understanding. When you learn to live in that dimension, you stop chasing emotional highs and start maintaining spiritual rhythm. You stop needing signs because your entire being becomes one. In this new calm, your senses sharpen. The world does not grow quieter. You simply stop listening to what doesn't matter. You notice how your body reacts differently to energy, how your thoughts flow with more precision, how your intuition no longer speaks in riddles, but in clarity. That is what divine alignment feels like. It is not a sudden miracle. It is a gentle return to original order. Now you begin to see how everything around you participates in your spiritual state. The music you play, the conversations you entertain, even the colors that surround you, they either feed light or dim it. You realize that protection is not a one-time act, but a lifestyle of consciousness. Just as the flame continues to burn because the wick keeps drawing oil, your peace remains as long as your awareness feeds it. This is where vigilance becomes sacred, not paranoid. In your daily life, This awareness translates into small but powerful choices. You begin to recognize how some people carry confusion like perfume. Their presence leaves residue in your atmosphere. You learn that not every invitation deserves acceptance. Not every story requires your response, and not every emotion deserves expression. Guarding your peace is not withdrawal, it is stewardship. It means learning that silence can say more than defense, that absence can heal more than argument. From this posture, prayer transforms. It stops sounding like pleading and begins to sound like conversation. You no longer beg for protection, you affirm it. You no longer ask for direction, you walk in it. The language of the Spirit matures within you. Each word becomes deliberate, each thought disciplined. You begin to pray without speaking, simply by existing in harmony with what is divine. That is what the Bible means by pray without ceasing. It is not about constant words, but constant alignment. As this awareness deepens, the watchers, those silent observers of destiny, can no longer perceive you as they once did. They are drawn to disorder, to the noise of worry and the light of distraction. But now, your energy is not chaotic, it is composed. They look and see nothing but radiance too ordered to infiltrate. You have not just become invisible to darkness, you have become uninterested in it. And that indifference is its defeat. There will still be moments when shadows test your peace. It is their nature to return, to see if the door remains shut. But those moments are not setbacks, they are confirmations. Every time you maintain peace in the face of disturbance, you reinforce your invisibility. Every time you refuse to react, you remind the unseen world that your awareness belongs to light alone. In time, this inner clarity begins to overflow outward. People will notice without understanding. They will feel calmer in your presence, drawn to the steadiness in your tone, the gentleness in your silence. That is because peace emits frequency. It travels, it influences. You will become unknowingly a keeper of atmospheres. Wherever you go, balance follows. But do not misunderstand, this does not make you untouchable in the sense of never facing trials. It makes you unshakable in the sense that no trial can rearrange your core. When the external world trembles, your center remains still. That is the power of alignment. The enemy no longer needs to fear your shouting prayers or your dramatic gestures. It fears your quiet certainty. From this place of awareness, your actions carry new meaning. Cleaning your space becomes worship. Speaking with kindness becomes warfare. Gratitude becomes protection. Every simple act turns sacred because it flows from understanding, not obligation. And that is what heaven honors most. Not the size of your faith, but its steadiness. Before you rest tonight, take a slow breath and look around. You are no longer surrounded by silence. You are surrounded by presence. The same light that filled your room has filled you. The watchers are gone, not because they were destroyed, but because they no longer recognize what you've become. You have stepped out of their frequency. You are not just unseen, you are unreachable. And that is the secret of divine invisibility. It is not hiding, it is harmony. You do not disappear into the dark. You dissolve into light so complete that darkness cannot comprehend it. From this moment forward, every breath you take reaffirms your covering. Every word you speak echoes through creation as a reminder that you are aligned, protected, and awake. This is no longer about defense. It is about identity. You are not someone trying to escape evil. You are someone living beyond its reach. That is what divine protection truly means. It is not the absence of danger, but the assurance that danger can no longer locate you. You have become part of the light itself, and where there is light, no shadow can dwell. When the morning comes after a night of stillness, something in you feels different, lighter yet stronger. The air seems fresher, your breath deeper, your thoughts quieter. It is not only the world outside that has changed, it is you. You have entered the realm where awareness becomes identity, where peace is not something you seek but something you carry. From this moment forward, you begin to live as one who is hidden, not in secrecy but in clarity, unseen to darkness yet radiant to light. The first thing you notice is that your perception has sharpened. Colors seem more alive. Sounds feel layered with meaning. You start sensing what is beyond the obvious, not through superstition, but through sensitivity. The same way a musician can hear a note slightly out of tune, your spirit now detects discord in energy. A conversation that once seemed harmless now feels heavy. A place that once felt familiar now feels dim. This is discernment awakening, not judgment, but awareness. It is the quiet knowing that tells you when to stay, when to speak, and when to leave. This sensitivity is not a burden, it is guidance. God never intended for you to stumble blindly through life. His light does not only protect, it instructs. The more you dwell in it, the clearer you hear direction. It won't come as thunder or visions. Often it comes as peace. When you walk into alignment with destiny, peace confirms it. When you step off path, peace withdraws. That is how heaven speaks to those who listen. But with discernment comes responsibility. You can no longer ignore what you sense. The world around you is filled with energies that demand attention, conversations that drain, entertainment that pollutes, distractions that disguise themselves as rest. Now that your spirit is awake, every choice becomes an act of protection or exposure. You are not called to fear these things. You are called to govern yourself among them, to walk through the noise without letting it live inside you. That is mastery. Your space, too, has become a reflection of your soul. The order you maintain outwardly reinforces what exists inwardly. The light of your candle may have burned out, but its frequency remains, resting over your walls like a blessing. You begin to understand that your home is not just where you live. It is a sanctuary, a gate between realms. Every time you keep it in peace, you are hosting divine presence. The unseen world takes note. This place is sealed. As you move through your day, your interactions begin to change. The same people are around you, but your reactions are not the same. The gossip that once pulled you in now feels foreign. The worry that once stole your sleep now struggles to find a home in your thoughts. That is not detachment, that is freedom. You are learning the art of spiritual neutrality, the ability to observe chaos without becoming part of it. It is important to understand that this calm is not passivity. You are not disengaged, you are discerning. There is a great difference between indifference and mastery. Indifference ignores what is wrong. Mastery sees it and decides not to feed it. Every time you choose not to react, you are denying darkness the energy it craves. The watchers of old depended on reaction, fear, anger, exhaustion. They trace emotion like footprints in snow. But now your emotions no longer betray you. They serve you. You feel, but you do not fall. You see, but you do not shake. Your prayer life, too, takes a new form. You no longer pray from desperation, but from dominion. Your words are fewer but heavier. You say less, yet it carries more. The difference is posture. Before, you were reaching outward for help. Now, you are speaking from within authority. Heaven does not measure the volume of prayer, but the alignment of spirit. A whisper in authority carries more power than an hour of noise without belief. Begin to practice this awareness throughout the day. When fear tries to whisper, respond with truth. When fatigue tries to settle, breathe light into your body. When confusion arises, do not wrestle with it. Pause, return to peace, and let peace reveal the answer. The unseen world moves quickly, but light always moves first. You are no longer reacting to darkness, you are anticipating it. You are no longer chased by shadows, you are leading them into exposure. There will be moments when you forget this, when old patterns resurface, when pressure builds, when silence feels distant. But that is part of growth. Spiritual awareness is not constant perfection, it is continuous return. Every time you realign, you strengthen your covering. Every time you remember, the watchers lose another thread of connection. The process is not about never being shaken. It's about never staying shaken. As you continue walking in light, you begin to see how divine timing works. What once felt delayed begins to align naturally. Doors that were stuck begin to open without struggle. Conversations flow easily. People who no longer serve your growth quietly drift away, replaced by those who mirror your peace. It is not coincidence. It is correction. When your frequency changes, your circle changes too. And perhaps the greatest revelation of all is this: invisibility is not isolation. To be hidden in light does not mean to be alone. It means you are finally surrounded by the right presence. Not noise, not confusion, but the steady company of divine peace. Angels move around you, unseen but tangible. You are no longer fighting for survival. You are living from victory. So walk gently but with confidence. You no longer need to prove your protection or announce your growth. True power doesn't advertise itself. It simply is. Let your actions speak peace, let your eyes carry calm, and let your silence command the unseen. You have reached a place where darkness cannot follow because it cannot comprehend what you've become. You are not a survivor of oppression. You are a steward of atmosphere, a guardian of peace, a vessel of divine invisibility. From now on, your life itself becomes prayer, not spoken, but lived. Every breath declares alignment. Every step echoes protection. And every moment of calm is a reminder that you have not only escaped the watchers, you have transcended them. The sun had not yet risen, but the horizon glowed faintly, that pale blue light that announces the world is waking. It is in that quiet hour before noise returns, when the spirit is most aware. You step into the stillness and realize that peace is not just something you feel, it is something you've become. The night before was transformation. This morning is confirmation. The watchers are gone, and you stand in a silence that no longer feels empty but alive. This is the part of the journey where clarity begins to mature into wisdom. Awareness has opened your eyes, but now you must learn how to live with them open. When the invisible becomes visible, when discernment becomes constant, it can feel overwhelming at first. You see more, sense more, understand more, and yet the challenge is not to be consumed by what you perceive. Awareness is a gift, but without wisdom it becomes noise. The power now lies in learning how to balance revelation with peace. You begin to realize that the purpose of spiritual vision was never to make you anxious about darkness, but to make you confident in light. Seeing more does not mean fearing more. It means governing better. True power is measured by composure. You will know you've matured spiritually when you can witness disorder and still remain steady, when your first instinct in crisis is not panic but prayer. Wisdom begins where reaction ends. It whispers, "Be still first, then act." You no longer rush to correct everything around you because you understand timing is also a weapon. God does not fight every battle immediately. He fights strategically. He allows space for process because what you master slowly, you keep permanently. Quick deliverance may free you from an attack, but deep understanding frees you from the pattern that allowed it. In this new phase, you start to see the patterns of your own life more clearly. You remember moments of exhaustion that were not physical but spiritual. You recall relationships that drained you not through words, but through unseen exchange. You see where you gave your energy away, to worry, to resentment, to fear, and how those moments of weakness served as open doors. But now, those doors are sealed, not because you forced them shut, but because you finally recognized them. Recognition is the first layer of protection. What you name loses power. As you move through your day, you begin to practice sacred awareness. You no longer walk aimlessly, even in ordinary spaces. When you enter a room, you bring calm. When you speak, your words carry weight. You no longer waste energy explaining what you sense. You simply live from that knowing. This is what it means to dwell in divine alignment, to carry invisible light in visible places. But even now, there will be moments of testing. The enemy does not always return through chaos. Sometimes it tries through comfort. There will be days when you will be tempted to forget how far you've come, to settle into complacency, to treat peace as ordinary. That is when you must remind yourself, peace is not the absence of battle. It is the fruit of vigilance. To protect your atmosphere, you must live intentionally. Intentionality looks like small daily acts that anchor you. Morning gratitude before words, a moment of silence before decisions, cleaning your space as worship, not routine, choosing honesty when silence would be easier. Each of these choices strengthens your covering. They are not grand gestures, but quiet alignments. Light thrives in structure. Darkness thrives in neglect. You also begin to understand that spiritual maturity is not isolation from the world, but transformation within it. You can stand in a crowd and remain unseen by darkness because invisibility is not distance, it is distinction. You move differently, not because you are better, but because you are aware. The same streets that once drained, you now feel neutral. The same voices that once distracted you now pass without effect. This is dominion, to exist in the same world but under a different law. One of the greatest revelations of this stage is that light doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet discipline. It's saying no to gossip, walking away from arguments, choosing to rest instead of reacting. It's realizing that holiness is not loud, it is consistent. And consistency blinds darkness more than any outburst of faith ever could. Then, one day without warning, you realize that the old heaviness never returned. The anxiety that used to arrive in the night doesn't know where to find you anymore. The dreams that once disturbed your rest have turned to clarity. You wake up and understand, invisibility is not something that happens to you. It's something you live into, one choice at a time. And yet this awareness brings humility. You stop seeing yourself as someone special and start seeing yourself as someone responsible. The same light that hides you from evil also makes you visible to those still trapped in it. That is why your peace must be shared, not hoarded. Every person you meet carries a storm you cannot see. Some are unaware they are being watched. Others have stopped believing there's a way out. You become a living reminder that deliverance is possible, not through superstition, but through awareness. So when you speak, speak with grace. When you listen, listen deeply. You do not need to preach about light. You need only live it. The calm in your eyes will speak louder than any sermon. That is how transformation multiplies, not through force, but through resonance. This is the divine paradox of invisibility. As you become unseen to darkness, you become visible to destiny. What is meant for you begins to recognize you again. Opportunities align not by luck, but by frequency. You are no longer chasing blessings. Blessings are locating you because they can finally identify your vibration. Every good thing God prepared was always there. It was simply waiting for you to become invisible to what distracted you. Now you walk differently, not as one escaping pursuit, but as one guided by purpose. You understand that every day spent in awareness is a day spent in protection. You no longer fear the unseen because you have learned to live from within it. You have become the quiet intersection between heaven and earth, visible in body, luminous in spirit, unseen by darkness, but known by light. That is the true freedom, not the absence of adversity, but the certainty that nothing unseen can reach what walks in divine alignment. You have stepped out of survival and into stewardship. You no longer ask to be protected. You live as protection itself. You are light in motion, peace embodied, and wherever you go, the atmosphere remembers you.